very, very strong anti-corruption position. It's part of your platform. It's part of your pushback from the charges they leveled against you and all the rest of it. And yet, this month, the state has taken a number of actions that question that commitment to being anti-corruption. One of your supporters says that you've ditched your reformist goals in this regard. He says, this is Hassan Karim of the party, Anwar is concerned more about the survival of his government and his power rather than the reform agenda that he had promised the people. What about the charges that you're cracking down, closing some news sites, opening sedition and graft probes against opposition figures? It doesn't look good.
You look at it positively. As a member of my party expressing criticism against me, it's a very democratic process.
Okay, that's one way to look at it.
Yes.
But what about actually doing that stuff? Because it doesn't look like you're supporting your initial agenda.
Okay, his criticism on the issue. What do you expect me to do? Do I then instruct the Attorney General to change his decision?
But why are news sites being closed down? Why is sedition and graft probes being opened against opposition figures? There's a feeling of a crackdown. Like the opposition leader, I'll read his name, Mohammed Sansi Midnoor, has been charged with sedition for allegedly insulting the country's revered sultans.
That part of a form of like a lay majesty in a form has been there, is in the law. You see, any criticism against the Prime Minister of the government, I don't charge them for sedition. I've been abused on a daily basis. None have been charged. But you touch the rulers, the sultans. We have the law.
It's like Thailand, right? Lèse majesté.
Not as serious, but then the law is there.
Do you think it's right?
Unless we are able to make some adjustments to the law, or amendments to the law, then we can consider whether to charge or not. But if the issue, you know, Christian, the system of the royalty has its paraphernalia. There is I think the need to protect the institution. That's what the people have decided from independence. That's the system we inherit. So when a person is deemed to be abusive of the rulers and the charge to be preferred by the general, I mean, that's the law. Until we are able to amend that law, the law persists. I cannot be criticized for the prosecution. There's purely a decision, particularly when you touch the rulers. If the issue is the criticism against the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister takes action, then it's valid. Your criticism is valid. Otherwise, we have to deal with it.
Okay. Let me ask you, I want to pick up on something you said earlier. That you want to show, you know, the reform, the democratic process, and particularly how a modern Muslim nation and democracy should be able to, you know, be an example to the world. As you know, this year, you said, Malaysia would never recognize LGBTQ rights. Sodomy, that word, carries a punishment of 20 years in prison. Last month, stores that sell Swatch watches were raided. A 3-year prison sentence was threatened for people wearing or selling watches with the LGBT elements. You know, the colors. I mean, I've got the picture and we'll put it up. All these nice colors. If I was seen wearing a watch like that, what would happen to me?
Well, I wouldn't defend that action, right? There were, I should say, excesses. But the law, Muslims, non-Muslims alike, Christians or Hindus or Buddhists, this is the consensus. In the country, they do not accept this. All right. I'm not saying that...
they do not accept what?
LGBT, open public display of this. But... Do we then go and harass them? That's a different subject. I do not approve of any attempt to harass. I mean, the issue of what you said, Swatch watches.
Swatches, yeah. 3-year prison sentence.
Well, there was no charge preferred.
No, you know, a 3-year prison sentence was threatened.
I cannot defend all the actions of the
Would you like to see that change?
Enforcement, of course. The consensus of the people I have got to respect, but it should not be seen to be a harassment.
I mean, that
and
word
abuse.
sodomy was falsely labelled against you as well. I mean, this, this carries a 20-year... You must be sensitive to the abuse of that kind of...
In fact, I have made it quite clear that we need to review and look at the law. It should not be abused. It should not be an attempt in the case that I went through is being used for political persecution. Yes, but finally we have to respect the general sentiments of Malaysians.